Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 274. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+, and also the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. With us tonight, we have David Rosam, the oldest man in the SEO. David is an internet marketer. He hails from the sunny south of England.
An old people's home on the south coast of England, I think you'll find.
I think he boasts about 35 years' experience as a copywriter and the last 12 as an SEO copywriter. Okay, you can find David at writingforseo.org. Meher Bhagat, recently married and now a resident of Delhi, I think.
Yes,
I think.
Yes.
Meher is a social media queen and human resources dynamo on the subcontinent. Sash Meyer is a disaster recovery specialist, currently based in the USA, and
I'm in the UK now.
In the
for the moment.
Yeah, and about to go on holidays to Cyprus.
Yeah, not too distant future.
Okay, and you can find Sash at sash.com or sash.co.
.co.
Yeah. Tim Capper is CEO of onlineownership.com. He's also a Google top. Sash is a Google top contributor in Google Web Search, and Tim is
Webmasters, not search. Webmasters, the proper one.
Sorry, Google Webmasters. Tim Capper is a Google top contributor on the Google My Business community. He's based in Corby, about 100 miles north of London, and he can be found at onlineownership.com. And William Rock is from Arkansas. Kansas in the USA, and he can be found at williamrock.com. He's also a Google top contributor on the web search or is it Webmasters? Web search or Webmasters? Web search. All right. We got that out without too many disasters. Let's head for our first question. We have 20 tonight on your run list. This one from Rohit Reddy. He wants to know, it's titled, will SEO rankings be affected if I change the website's URLs, the URL structure of an existing website with some good page rankings? In other words, the existing website has good page rankings. He wants to preserve them. I answered this one on the community, but one of you guys should really do that.
It's all gone quiet, said Rhubarb, so I'll do it. Right. Yes, it can have a very pronounced effect if you don't follow the right set of actions when you actually make the changes to your site. Really, when you get right down to it, you need to make sure that all your old URLs are 301 redirected to your new URLs. And that has to be done basically right out of the gate. I would still expect to then see some blips, glitches in the actual ranking, in traffic, in the short term, until things actually settle down, until Google gets comfortable with the new URL structure and with the fact that everything has kind of changed. So, care is bidden. Read up on 301s. Be sure that you do it all correctly, and you should be good. Except for some minor short-term, fluctuations.
Yeah, and that'll still work for Bing as well. So if you throw one redirects, you're going to actually help all the search engines find that new URL.
What's a Bing?
I don't know. What's Yahoo?
Nothing anymore. Walking corpse.
Actually, it must be a zombie because it seems to be walking around, stepping up the mountainside. Anyway, okay, Rohit, ready? I have that will prove useful to you. I better tweet that. Next one is from Mark Johnston. He doesn't look old enough to be an SEO. He wants to know what is the best tool to index backlinks. He said, okay, there appears to be an issue with some of my backlinks not being indexed by Google. What is the best tool to use to index backlinks, Web2s, etc.?
Well, when you say indexed, you mean Google hasn't found it, right? So my next question, my next thing would be is why are you even interested in those? You know, that page has a link to you on. And the reason I say that is because if this page was of some authority or Google was actually even interested in this particular site that you know you had this link coming from, Google would have found it, you know, almost very, very quickly, indexed it. So your first point is I wouldn't even worry when and where Google finds that, because if they haven't found it within a pretty short space of time, you know, you literally, you know, you probably don't even want that counted, because, I mean, in all fairness, you know, Googlebot is not interested in that site where you've published wherever that or whatever that was on. On the flip side, if you're talking about indexed and you're saying like as in Search Console, yeah, Google doesn't show all of them, all of your links. But if you know, just do a cache on that particular page and see whether it was, you know, whether Google has indexed it. So if it's, you know, they may have indexed it, it just might not be showing up in Search Console. But in all honesty, if Google actually hasn't found and indexed that page that you spent time on trying to get something in there onto that particular site, you know, that's your answer, mate. If Google can't even be bothered to find that page within, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks, well, you know, it's just, you know, it's yeah. So
It's of no value, Tim.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, if he's wanting to actually crawl everything from historical, I would say either Majestic or Ahrefs, it's going to give him a pretty solid exportability of time frame too. So with Majestic especially, you'll see a timestamp of when that link was found historically. So
yeah. All right. Let's. I've tweeted that already. Let's go to the next. Number 3. It's can the size of the Open Graph image affect the web page download speed? Neil Cheeseman said, I feel I should know this, but I'm now not sure. If an image is used only for social sharing, e.g., for example, Open Graph :image, and doesn't get displayed on the web page the website user can see, regardless as to device, can the size of the OG image affect the web page download speed, or does it make no difference as the image isn't displayed?
Probably say that if the image is, I would wonder why it's not available on the actual site and only being used for just a. If the image is large, then of course it's going to actually add to the initial download for the browser. The browser has to bring everything down, from what I understand. Could be wrong.
No.
It's not
I think
downloading because it's
go
not
ahead.
on the page. What he's trying to say is that should not be downloading at all because it's not linked to the page. But maybe it's just for sharing purposes. You know, whenever you share a link on a social site, it requires an image, right? It comes with an image. So maybe that's the only purpose. So in case if it's an OG image and is not on page, it should not make a difference at all. If
Exactly.
it's not displayed.
Yeah, that makes sense. But even on the sharing the OG image for social media, I think that you still need to optimize that image regardless if it's being shared across other platforms and showing as a.
I think that would take up bandwidth. that would still take bandwidth. But I don't understand. I mean, like having an OG image and not an actual image on your display doesn't make sense to me first. So if you have an image, I think any image on any internet site, I think should be very low in size. Even though if you share it, it's gonna help you save your bandwidth.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Before I move on, I must thank people like I see people that have respond to questions through the week. Our forum heroes, people like David Kuchar and Jody Nesbitt. We thank them most sincerely for their contribution. Paul Thompson looks like he had a good look there too. All right, let me tweet that. We'll go to the next. Oh, idiot. Eric M. Hoover asked a question titled, "People also search for box." Yeah, you might be amused by this, Sash, but I looked at on google.com for SEO Corby, and Google gave me people also search for Tim Capper KGB.
Having been to Tim's house, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Russian agent.
Anyway, Eric Hoover said, "I noticed this today when looking for an article on optimizing author biography pages. When I clicked on the area, white space, around this Google result halfway down page 1, it expanded to include the people also search for box. This brings the rich snippets / answers into basically every result. How long has this been active for others? What impact could this have on pushing up or down organic results?"
It's actually been a feature for a while now. I want to say a couple of months or 3. It's something that's still, as far as I know, in the testing stage of things, and it's part of the continuous expansion from search engine to basically personal assistant. So if you basically show interest in a result, Google tries to push further information at you in case it's something relevant to what you're looking for. It's changing and evolving at a rapid rate, and Google being Google, they could just drop the entire thing, but in the next 5 minutes, you just don't know. But on the whole, as far as pushing up and down results goes, not going to have that much of an effect. It's going to make things tastier for the user as far as clicking on a result is concerned. So really, at that point in time, if you can entice the user to show some interest in your SERP snippet, you've got a better shot at actually getting a click.
Thank you, Sash. Anybody else?
We also add to that where, Sash, you were saying that this has been around for a while. If you go to the very bottom of the page of any search result, you're always going to see those other search queries.
Oh, that, yes, totally.
So they're kind of flipping it up to the top, and I think doing a test to see the variations of what.
Yeah,
what
no, that's like I said. It's still they're digging around with it at a rate of knots, basically. So that's shifting as far as its location on the actual search page is concerned.
Yeah, and it's very similar to the answer box. I mean, when you start thinking about the voice search commands, so what Google Home Minis, normally those answers that are being read out loud pretty much on the Home Mini for the assistant is coming from that first page result.
Well, this is it, and I mean, as far as it goes, brain crash. 2018 is pretty much going to be the year of voice search. I mean, I know I've started, especially when I'm driving, I've basically I'm voice operating my phone, GPS, everything,
Come a long ways, that's for sure.
No, it has, and it's getting better, So the Google Assistant should really make a dent in user behavior as the year progresses.
Well, especially with multi-voice, I think is now they're getting into the actual detection of multiple people's voices, and being able to control, what is actually coming back to you privacy-wise. So it's a whole different subject, but yeah, this is going to be a neat transition for quarter 2 and 3.
Yeah, well, Orwell predicted there'd be a wiretap in every house. What he didn't predict is that we'd buy them ourselves and then ask them for pancake recipes. But
or even to set the timer, for that pancake recipe.
In your areas, you're not hearing any bad feedback on the quality of the Google Home device and other devices?
Not for me in particular. I have one in my house, and I'm testing it constantly. But I'm always using Assistant, and of course, being in Google Web Search and Google Assistant, we're on the forums, and most of the things that we hear is something kind of went buggy where it didn't actually recognize a voice. Sometimes the type of accent that you may have, it's gotten better with accents. So, but for the most part, it's working pretty flawlessly. I got to say, there is going to be its glitches, just like Amazon's got its, but it's really come a long ways in the capabilities that it has. I use it for my daily calendar. So in the morning, what's my day look like? It's going to tell me exactly what my day looks like. There's so many different uses for the device for voice. Then instead of just a lot of people think of it as just searching for a particular topic, but it's actually interacting with you and your profile.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next. This one from Kemalists Drollia. It's titled, "Is this a good practice to make separate pages for categories rather than using archives?"
I'm not entirely sure I understand the question.
I think it's a WordPress question. Is it not? Is it a WordPress?
I guess it would have to be.
Yes, let's pretend it's a WordPress question.
I'm glad I'm able to answer this question.
Go ahead. I'm glad I am as well. Yes, you'll probably be as glad with the quality of the question, the quality of the answer as I am. I'll say that I tend to make a separate page for a category and hang off the pages in that section for siloing purposes. But now I've just read this in a different way. separate pages for categories. Does it mean, do you set up a page rather than use WordPress's inbuilt wonderfulness? Or does it mean set up separate pages for each of the posts in the categories?
That's why I said I'm not sure I understand the question.
No, I'm not sure. I launched into this thinking I know what this is about, but now I'm equally confused as my other half.
I think it goes back to the ranking factor. Not really ranking factor, but what are they also trying to do with their visitor experience? You know, if it's pretty much evergreen content and they're putting it into I guess an archive folder because it's historical, if there's something else that they can put that in, and at the same time as if they start switching the category, that's also going in WordPress per se. That's also going to change the URL, right, of that post. So I think keeping a consistent pattern. I don't necessarily do archives. You know, if the page is no longer valid and doesn't serve a purpose for a visitor experience, then of course I'm going to delete it and 410 it. The page is gone. But you know, if you start to change the structure a little bit as of categories, but going back to the question, I think landing page for each category, you know, it's based on how people navigate your site. So it's a very tricky question, I think, to answer without seeing the site currently.
Okay, so I think we can call that a wrap for Kemalists, Drolia. And so let me tweet that. All right, this one from Marcus Chris. He said, oh yeah, okay. He said it's titled. I won't try and read all that. Fav icon on Search Console. He said, I received a message on Search Console that I need a high resolution 192 by 192 PNG fav icon. Is this something I need to fix? Will I get any real benefit?
No.
I think we actually got the answer to this
on
the group. Stockbridge Trustlow, another one of our forum stalwarts, said it's the icon used for the Chrome phone. They still have Chrome phones, do they?
Well, fav icons normally run at 32 or 16s. So, I mean, keeping it consistent with I don't see a benefit with high resolution other than the fact that it's going to take a little bit more time to load, and it's still going to shrink it down, even if it's a higher image size.
Okay. All right. I think we can call that covered. This one from Toko Geneleads. It's titled "Do follow backlinks from hub pages worth the effort in 2018." Toko went on to say you need a 75 profile score for do follow links. Right? Wrong. I would say, Toko, and I'm sure somebody else will say the same. That's if they say anything at all.
Well, I think it depends, right? So it depends on the site. I'm not probably going to focus on a score necessarily because nobody knows Google's scoring algorithm. There's plenty of tools out there that'll give you different types of scores, but you know, I would look at the quality of that link. If it actually is something that's natural. Is it basically serving a purpose? Is it actually sending something directly to a page that's actually adding more value to that experience? If not, then basically that follow. It could help and it could not. So back to my original answer would be it depends.
The problem here is, and this is something I've seen last 6 months, 9 months, I suppose. A certain element of the SEO fraternity has started mining abandoned hub pages with some backlinks and reactivating them for spam inbound link purposes and whatnot. So this, to me, now that it's actually becoming a more frequently used tactic by the shady SEO sector, it's going to be something that will get jumped on by Google before long, basically. So it's really, it's not, this isn't a pond I would recommend swimming in, because sooner or later something's going to come up from the deeps and bite you.
Yeah. You know, more I think about it, hub pages. I forgot the actual word of hub pages. So you're right. You know, those are basically pages that have harvest a whole bunch of links, kind of like a directory.
That's that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we can call that one answered too. Job and John says, I want to hide my backlinks from competitors. He said, so I added the list below, which can be seen on the dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. And he added them to robots text. Will this get the job done, or do you think something better can be done? My target is to block Ahrefs and SEMrush and other tools, and then allow Google, Yahoo, and Bing bots in the hope that this will do the trick.
I would say no.
It's negative gain, not worth it.
Yeah, but like the weird thing is you're using, I mean, there's hundreds of different, even cheap, crappy, tools out there. But the thing is, you're picking a tool, okay? You're not blocking search engines, because you can still do, you can still just use a regular, search results and search queries to find who's mentioned you in the first place. So it's like, you basically just want to block a tool. You're not blocking people from finding it. And the ones you're blocking from finding it are really lazy people that rely on tools. So, I mean, look, it's just a waste of effort, man.
You're basically just chasing your own tail. There's nothing here in the way of benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, look at SimilarWeb. I mean, SimilarWeb actually brings up everything, or you've got, like you said, and bunches and tons of different tools out there do the same thing. Majestic having the entire list of everything. So all I got to do is have that tool, and I can see, everything that they're going to see visually. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend. You don't need to do that. Continue to build a good quality site for your users.
And the other thing is that I hope I'm right in saying this, but Googlebot crawls Majestic and Ahrefs listings as well. So and they're highly respected domains. So it's almost like a citation you have to have. Having a link on, I mean, you might be marked down if Googlebot can't find you on Majestic or Ahrefs or wherever. Anyway, I think I've tweeted that already. Yes, I have. This one from Shelley Fagan. This will wake Tim up. He said, I want to push to HTTPS first, and then the non-dub to dub. Shelley went on to ask, okay, SEO friends, I have a tech issue that is driving me crazy. I have several client sites that use the dub version as their primary URL. Now that they have an SSL certificate installed, I'm trying to directly 301 redirect to the HTTPS version of the site. Of the site first, before the non-dub to dub redirect kicks in. Ideally, I'd love a redirect that redirects all versions directly to the https://www site in one step. But if I can't accomplish that, well, of course you can, I at least want to push it to https first and then the non-www to www. Any ideas? Well, this is
HTX. Yeah. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. It's an HTAccess redirect.
That's right. Redirect all traffic that is not HTTPS in one step. That will take you to where you want to be.
Exactly.
I'd say with HTAccess file, doing a 301 redirect from to the non-www is a great thing. HTTPS, I'm glad to hear you're going to HTTPS. It's good. But make sure you're actually doing this at the same time in your search console. And make sure that Google knows that you're doing this as well. So when you're using that HTTPS non-www domain.com inside your console so that they can actually recognize that. Same thing with Bing, making sure. Actually, Bing, you don't have to worry about that. But the Webmaster, Google Search Console, you will.
Okay.
And I think that there's probably going to be a small drop in your traffic in the beginning of the traffic at that time while it actually transfers over. But it's pretty quick. I mean, I've seen a site that switched over to HTTPS. You'll check the actual type in domain on Google and you'll see what they have actually crawled right in that result. But changing both at the same time, that might be a small, but I think Google's pretty good about re-indexing pretty quick.
Yeah. So summing up, the advice for Shelley is to Google something like HTTPS 301 redirect, and I'm sure she'll find a recipe that will do exactly what she wants in one step. All right, let's go to Ashish Singh Bisht, who asks a question titled, should I keep the same URL structure or redirects through HTAccess preferred? Ashish said, I will be working on a website redesign for a client. The previous development team built the business side in ASP.NET on mainbusinesssite.com and the store with Magento on store.mainbusinesssite.com. The client wants one unified platform and wants me to use WooCommerce. He said, I can build the whole website using WordPress/WooCommerce. The problem is, what should I do with the link structure? The product URLs are like, and I won't try and read it out, but they end in /productname.html. In other words, there's no categorization.
It sounds to me like you're going to have more luck if you actually change unless you only have one type of product, unless you're only selling running shoes or frying pans or whatnot, to actually categorize your catalog in the move and then specify the redirects in your HTAccess file. Having a flat site structure with all the products just kind of thrown into one bin is not something I've seen a lot of people have a lot of luck with. A neatly categorized product catalog is far more conducive to actually getting rankings and having your customers, your visitors, leave your site happy with something in their pocket that they've bought.
Yep, and also I see Alan Blue Eyes and Walter Moroshinsky III.
WordPress doesn't allow you to have URLs ending with .html. So either way, he has to redirect.
I mean, like he's written clearly. There's a URL that the product URL are like this, you know, like again, product name dot HTML. WordPress doesn't allow you to do that, doesn't? I've never seen that. I mean, like he can, if he has this in subfolders, but not into WordPress platform. He still has to redirect. There's no other way, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Meher. Okay, let's tweet that, and we will go to the next one. We're powering through these. We're up to number 11 on our run list. This one from Nikhil Tavatia. It's titled, "Is it possible to target countries whose primary language is not English?" Nikhil said, "Hi all, I am working for a digital agency. We have our offices in India and the US, registered as an incorporated company. We have a decent amount of traffic from the US. Now we want to increase traffic from Canada and European countries specifically. Our website is in English only, so is it possible to target countries whose primary language is not English? We don't have any address apart from India and the US. We can acquire local addresses in a few countries, but it will only help in building trust for when someone reaches out to us. We can also list the agency with that local address in the local listing websites of different countries. Is not relevant. I'm not sure what he means there. Through content is the only way. Oh, okay. Through content is the only way. Are some options there?
So look, you know, if you want to appear in Germany for whatever you're specifically doing, right? Well, then you need to have German language pages, right? So you would translate, you know, which particular pages on the site are relevant or you would be able to provide to that specific country. They would be translated. Then you would reference these with hreflang. And what this does is it tells a search engine what language page to search, you know, to show in a particular language search. So in Germany, you know, if they search for something specific and you had that translated, then that particular page would appear. Same for French, same for, you know, same for Italian, and you need to physically have those pages translated, right? You need to be on site and you need to use hreflang to tell search engines which language page is relevant for a particular country as well as a search language, right? Because some people, obviously in Germany, they may use English and, you know, or they may search in German. So, you know, this tells a search engine which to serve. Now, in terms of, you know, talking about local, well, this would mean obviously appearing within local packs. So, or, you know, and local search queries for specific cities. So let's say you went and got an address in Hamburg or Berlin, you know, you could then have a business listing, but, you know, you need to have a legitimate business. And I don't think you know, I mean, literally, are you that large that you want to have, you know, a business in these particular countries? But
there's a major problem here. Sorry to kind of interrupt, but I'm a crowd. I'm German. Okay. You can have all the translated content you want, but when they come at you in German, with an inquiry, you better have somebody there who can service them in their language, ditto French, ditto Spanish, ditto Italian, ditto everything else. So you can have all the translated page contents you want, and you will still fall flat on your face because you cannot service the clients in their native language. So just, if all you got is English and all your team has is English speakers, don't even bother, because you will just, it's a lot of effort and you'll lose client after client after client because you don't speak their language. That's my 2 cents.
So are you recommending where basically they have, if they have a main hub in whatever country, and then they have other countries that won't actually have their fluent language in their country, the duplicate content doesn't cause a problem with the hreflang, right? If it's set up correctly. But when you're actually in the native language, say for example, Germany, right? So that if you use a translator, that translator sometimes messes up the actual translation and gets things incorrect based off of different slang.
Yep, that's another problem with not speaking the language you're trying to market into.
Gotcha.
Okay. Let's move on to the next. We'll call that an answer. This one from Jason Hyang Chul Kang. It's titled, "What is the difference between crawl errors and broken pages?"
Good question. 404 is definitely going to be sending that issue, but crawl errors, there might be different other errors that come up, like a 510. There's all sorts of different ones, error codes that could come up. But I think that's also going to be put in your Search Console, right, Sash?
Say that again. I was just on my way to sort out something.
Sorry. So basically the difference between a crawl error and a 404, page not found.
Right.
So crawl error is more than likely some other issue. That's the server errors coming from your page itself, and that's what Google's trying to.
It's all about the actual server response. If your server responds with a 404, say a 410, a 410 means it's gone and it's gone on purpose. 404 is I can't find it. If it's broken and it's returning basically a 500, oops, the server is melting, then that's a very, very bad thing. Meanwhile, if you're seeing all this in Search Console, a lot depends. I mean, you shouldn't be serving a 500 in any case, no matter what they throw at you, because that's just really bad. But if the page is broken and if it's pointed at via like an external link, yeah, so some other person has linked to you from their site, then it's not something you really need to take any action on, because you have no control over how external links actually mess with the URLs they're linking to. You know, it's only if you are linking internally and if you've got a broken link structure internally leading to pages not found or pages broken, then that's something you need to really tackle as a matter of urgency. But like I said, it all depends on what status, what the actual server response is. If it's one of the 4s, then probably not such a big deal. If it's a 500 or one of the 5s, even a 503, it's not ideal.
Yeah, and basically, if you've got a whole bunch of 404s, double check them. If those are actually just a problem with maybe something that was inaccurately, a problem with the URL itself, an internal link that it's supposed to go someplace, or you've changed it and it's no longer going to that place. You don't have a 301 set in place, so that 404 is actually supposed to be going to a different location, and you just hadn't put that in your 301. Make sure it gives you a heads up that link is not working. Go back and even fix if they, not just putting a 301, but basically going in actual HTML itself and fixing that URL and making sure that it's supposed to go to a different page on your website. I've seen a whole bunch of issues with that. And the user experience are trying to get to a location with your internal linking structure, and it's actually giving a 404. Google is at least giving you that in Search Console, so you can go and fix it.
Okay, we'll call that an answer. Oh, just one thing I picked up during that. I'm not sure who mentioned 503s, but that's 503 is recommended by Google. It means come back later, and if you say you might have a reason to have your page offline for database maintenance, maybe. One thing that I've noticed over the years is if you do serve a 503 in instances like that, Googlebot seems to come back more quickly rather than if it just encounters a constant stream of 404s. All right. I mean, while your site is down. Anyway, Christopher Chorley asked a question titled, "Finding it hard to break into the top 3 for main keywords." Christopher said, "I have a website that is finding it hard to break into the top 3 for its main keywords. It's in position 5 to 6 at the moment. The site is https://www.cleanmycarpets.co.uk.
May I suggest a visit to www.cleanmycopy.co.uk? I think one of the problems, apart from the fact that depends what your key phrases are and the general amount of competition for them. If it's carpet cleaning, there's going to be an awful lot of sites worldwide offering carpet cleaning. But let's go back to the main point. The copy it looks to me as if it's stuffed with likely key phrases. It's got that sort of circular thing to it where it keeps going through the same kind of concepts time after time. Whether this works as a piece of Google baiting or not, I suspect it may well. Google may well be saying that this is keyword stuffing. If not, it's not going to be a good read for your potential customers or your clients' potential customers. I think that at the very least, it needs to be written in a way that someone's going to want to read more than 3 paragraphs. I think that it needs a good look at how the website is is laid out in terms of targeting the different key phrases. I think that a thought or at least an approach that really does help your customers find what they want. It's as I say, I think the copy is pretty dreadful, to be blunt. I think it needs rewriting with an eye on what people actually are looking for and what they're likely to read.
Thank you, David.
Sorry. Going back to the question, I went off in a tangent, didn't I? There, what a surprise. No, I think that Google is likely to like a piece of nice, informative copy that's written in a good grammatical way, far more than this stuff. So, you know, get your content sorted. Right, finish now.
Well, I'm going to recommend to Christopher. Surely he's asked the question, can anybody recommend anybody who can rewrite the content, please? Do you know anybody, any good copywriters, David?
I've got a bunch of writers on my books, but I reckon my other self might be in a pretty good position here.
I could rewrite it. Yeah. You know, it's not the yes, yeah, sure. Yes, I could do it. Yes. If
your palm is crossed, if my palm is crossed with silver.
You never know. I might buy me that pint that I've been thinking of buying myself, but keep dropping out of. God, this is complicated.
I was actually going to suggest taking another run at this whole meeting up in London thing. You know, but we'll have to work on it.
Let's wait until we get off the hangout, and then perhaps we can. Well, perhaps I can sort it out.
Okay. We just lost William Rock. He had to go to a meeting. All right. Oh, look, and also I did a GT metrics on this site. Its page load is 40 seconds for the full page load. Time to first byte, 7 seconds. Time to first byte, 7 seconds. And I did a trace route to the actual hosting. And there's about 300 sites I could see there on a VPS in Bulgaria. Anyway, so they're paying bugger all for their hosting, and well, I hope they are, because it really is rubbish. They'd probably position one or two just by investing in some decent hosting. Anyway, let's tweak that. I hope that's will prove useful to you, Christopher. And just to get in touch with David Rozam, you'll find him at the Brighton Old People's Home. Writing for SEO.
If I'm not being taken for a walk in my bath chair, of course.
Okay. Number 14 is Dave Rodens that asked the question, how tough is it to rank and get leads for a small niche? Dave said, newbie question, how tough is it to rank and get leads for a small niche like tiny homes? I just took a client on who wants leads to build tiny homes. Any strategy suggestions? Any and all advice would be helpful. How best can I get this client leads? Thanks in advance.
What I would say first is, and Dave Rodens is almost me by name, so I've got another bit of me here this afternoon. No, what I would say to begin with is that there's a potentially lethal misunderstanding here. Tiny homes, the amount of content that there is on the web about tiny homes is enormous. There are blogs, there are people selling them, etc., etc. So I have a feeling that this niche is not so small, and I would lay odds that a lot of the key phrases are going to be quite a hard slog to get on. So what I would say is have a look at do some key phrase research. Find out what kind of key phrases are out there, and if you can pay for a tool like SEMrush, that will give you a guide to how competitive they are. Otherwise, just start slinging tiny homes and build tiny homes and other such key phrases into Google. See what kind of sites come up. As a newbie, you may find it difficult to actually figure out whether those sites are particularly going to be particularly difficult to compete against. But you know, have a look. Are they professional? Have they been there for a while? Are they coming up fast? Do they look? Yeah. Do they look professional? Do they look as if someone's put time and effort and learning into it? But you know, really, you've got to have a look at this from the point of view of the competition. But you know, I can do all day on key phrase research, but I'm not going to, because everyone get bored. But I think you've got a problem here that it's not going to be. My bet is it's not going to be an easy task to wade into the tiny homes niche and get a
niche at all.
Sorry,
it's not a small niche at all. I mean, I've been doing my own research for personal projects rather than, you know, from the optimization end. But it's a very, very heavily competed sector, both from the I'll build you a tiny home and look at my tiny home. Yeah. So did they get you coming and going because they're either offering to sell you something or that they're showing off what they've got? I mean, pretty much most of my time. It's huge. It's gained so much momentum because people are figuring out that if they want a holiday home, it doesn't need to be a 3-bedroom villa. They can just have a little, very well appointed tiny cabin on a little patch of ground, and we're done. So yeah, no, it's not a small niche at all. You're facing a pretty big mountain if you want to rank there. Not saying it can't be done. It's just not. It's not as simple as all that.
Well, the question is how tough, and I think both of us reckon it's going to be really tough. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with me.
I agree with me too.
And as Alan Blue Eyes said on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group, he said, considering there is an entire buy tiny homes shopping carousel and a big mix of builder sites and news entries, all for that one keyword, I think Alan would say it was tough too. We wish you the very best of luck with it, Dave. All right, Tom Gooden asked the question, does it matter that there are 3 links from a page going to one post? He said, I'm working on a template for WordPress that lists blog posts. For each post, it has 3 potential spots for a link to the post. Brackets, the featured image thumbnail, the post title, and the read more about XYZ link. Based on the nature of the design, it kind of needs all 3 of those to be links from a user experience perspective. And I can't wrap all of those elements into a single link. My question is, from an SEO perspective, does it matter that there are 3 links from a page going to one post? Should 2 of the 3 be no follow? No. And yes, I reckon it's quite all right.
No,
Go.
it's fine. And don't no follow your internal links. That's just the road to madness.
Yep. Yep. That's pretty simple, Tom. I think that's answered already. Okay, let's go to the next. This one is number 16 on your run list. It's titled Errors Are Status Index Coverage. Jacqueline 80 said, I would appreciate some Google Search Console expertise. My new site was accepted and more than half of my WordPress pages were sitemapped in the Search Console. It has been saying I'm having a few errors that need to be fixed. Some fixes failed for index coverage issues. Errors are status in index coverage, submitted URL marked no index. I think this one was answered on the SEO Questions Facebook group. These were automatically marked tag pages, marked no index by Yoast. I think so, anyway. Or maybe I dreamt that. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, I can't see it straight away, but yeah, I think that's what it was. Did anybody else have a comment on this one?
Not really.
Okay. Okay, and as Michael Martin has said, many of the warnings coming out of the Search Console about indexing problems in the past 2 weeks have been bogus. I tell you, the Search Console has been a bit problematic for me. It told me that I had malware the other day and gave me a spreadsheet with the headings on the columns, but nothing in the column.
Since they rolled out the new Search Console, things have been a little bit flaky. They've not everything has settled down yet. So yeah, now there's some weird flaky stuff going on there.
Yeah, one of my clients got a warning earlier this week, and having looked at it, there shouldn't be a warning. The warning doesn't match up with what's on the site. So I told them to ignore it, and they kind of eventually, rather grudgingly, said yes. But I hope that Google sort it out soon, because I don't want to be wasting time digging around looking for non-existent problems.
When the great God Google says you have malware, whether you like it or not.
Thankfully, it wasn't malware.
Well, in my case, it said that, that this particular site had malware. I had a look and removed nothing, and then the next day I submitted a request for a review saying, "Are you sure you guys know how to code?" And then the next day I got a letter saying, "Congratulations, we have reviewed your site and now find the malware is gone," or something like that.
You do not have malware anymore. Yeah, that's it. Sounds about right.
Anyway, this one's from JL Faverio, our good friend. He's said, it's titled, "Should I make a separate Google My Business listing for an e-commerce store?" He said, went on to say, scenario one, client has one brick and mortar with a website and one e-commerce store on a separate website. The brick and mortar website is businessname.net. The e-commerce website is business-name.com. Both websites have the same exact business name. Only the brick and mortar has a Google My Business listing. So should I make a separate Google My Business listing for the e-commerce store? And if I do, what would I name it?
Why do you need two websites? That would be my first question here. Other than that, Tim hasn't said anything in a while.
Look, just be thankful for that. You know, he'll start raging on if you're not careful.
Right. So I don't see why you should have two sites. You know, if the e-commerce site is owned by Pink Fluffy Limited, and the e-commerce is called pinkfluffy.com, then that is the one that should be attached to your business page. Your business page is generally the location, which would be your head office. That could be wherever it may be. You've got two choices there in the sense. You can have it as a local listing itself with the address displayed, or you could use it as a service area business. However, if you're an e-com, you tend to deliver countrywide or worldwide, and you can't really have a service, a selection saying, you know, the entire country. You can, but in terms of if you wanted to appear locally, it just looks a bit crap when like half the country is kind of outlined in a thing. And so I would just have it as the local, because that's your head office. And that would be on your contact us page. It would be, you know, contact our head office, you know, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, email addresses, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm assuming you have suppliers and other people that come and see the business, so they'd want to see the address, etc. So, you know, no, it should be connected. You don't need a separate website unless you have some kind of weird different sort of branding thing where you're the owner company of a lot of different sort of smaller companies which trade separately, then it would make sense to have a separate one, but you know, and a separate website for all the brands within the company, and this is your head office address, etc. Then it would make sense to have two. But apart from that, no. If it's literally an e-commerce store owned by these guys and that's their, you know, their head office, well, that's their head office. Another thing you can get creative with in terms of e-commerce is using, you can and can't have business pages, but you can start integrating things like, I don't know what the e-com site is, but let's say you've got distributors. You know, you use distribution hubs. Well, you can create these, you can use that as location-based pages. You can use your, if people are suppliers, you know, like different stores stock your thing, you can actually create lists of stockists and use that in a localized targeting way. Does the company use click and collect? You know, you can start listing and you can start using that very effectively in terms of location-based pages for click and collect, and you can target areas. So you know, you can go locally, nationally, internationally with that. So yeah, you know, like by using a lot of different things, you may not have the actual GMB page for a lot of these things, but you can use some very clever, you know, location-based information to tie yourself in to in almost into a local search results.
Thank you, Tim. Very good. I thought of one reason why there'd be a need for two websites, or at least there could also be a website and a subdomain, but it could be that they built their site in ASP, for argument's sake, or HTML or whatever, and then they came along, decided to build an online store, and they were sold by somebody who set them up with WooCommerce on PHP. And of course, the two sites wouldn't be compatible, couldn't be on the same server. So you either need a subdomain or another domain name to run the shopping cart. Sites like, I think, BigCommerce, they're an example. I think it's them I'm thinking of. I don't know many shopping cart companies, but yeah, they generally are run from shop.domainname.com rather than domain name, because they don't actually integrate into the site. Anyway, let's go to the next. I don't think I tweeted that. Number 18 on our run list, it's RFQ line. He said, it seems to be toxic to Google search for reasons I cannot understand. RFQ line said, I am stumped. My website has several pages that pertain to very specific types of manufactured products. The site is built with Adobe Muse. It seems to be toxic to Google search for reasons I cannot understand. I've used all the Google web tools to check structure and mobile friendliness, and I've utilized nothing but white hat tactics. My pages rank well in every search engine but Google. For example, I can enter metal stamping RFQ, which are words contained in the title, description, and content keywords. And even the name of my company, RFQ Line. And I come up 100 plus deep in search results, and yet I'm top 3 in other engines. Even my homepage ranks better than the product-specific page. Also, Google search results often note that the page is not mobile friendly, but Google Web Tools state otherwise. And the site is www.rfqline.com. Thanks. I can give you an update to that. I made a couple of notes on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus earlier on tonight. I pointed out that he was spamming the keywords meta and suggested that if
mobile friendly. Sorry.
And yet it looks like it is. Anyway, he oh yeah, and his backlink profile is not white hat. It's a set of dodgy looking directory links. The hosting and the coding is very well done. It loads in 6 seconds, and yeah, the actual coding on the site. This Adobe Muse, I'll have to have a look at that. But the actual look and layout of the site looks about 2006, and I thought that probably wouldn't go well in a quality review. So he responded about 54 minutes ago and said, thanks for your critique. I'll pare down the keywords. Are there specific backlinks that create a problem? Other than linking to a few industrial directories, I've not created any backlinks. Thanks again. But he's got, I think, about 412 backlinks.
Because like all natural, right?
Well, not one could be natural. That's right.
Where to start? What's the reason for the strange styling on the content, not only on the homepage, but Q&A and pitch and what have you as well? You seem to have two different, you know, one slim black and one kind of semi-bold gray, and it just looks a little bit weird. At first I thought they were like hidden links or something, but No, it's Jim. I think you're pretty much spot on the money here. There needs to be some reading of the webmaster guidelines and some changes in TAC here.
The underlying, you see that it just looks like a made for AdSense directory, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Yeah, it needs some styling. And if you're watching this, and I see people are still watching us, that's what it looks like right now. All right, let's go to the next, and hope that we've helped RFQ line in a small way, and feel free to ask as many questions as you want. We'd love to see this site do better, if only because your hosting is so good. Okay, number 19 on our run list. It's from Ashraf Jan. It's titled "Discredited Techniques from a Distant Past." Oh, that's right. That was taken from my comment. Ashraf said the article submission, video submission, image submission, guest blogging, commenting on other blogs, infographics, and directory submissions. Are they some techniques of link building? All of these link building techniques are manual or self-created links. I'm not reading that well, but Ashraf is asking us if all of these are kosher, I think. And I think I stand by my comment. I think they're all discredited from a distant past.
I stand by your comment too, and I'm sure I agree with me on this.
And a nod from David Roseanne.
I'm just agreeing with me.
And Meher Bagat. And Tim is just sitting there staring into space. Oh, he's looking at his bank account. All right, let's look at this one. Trey Collier, our good friend Trey Collier. Actually, Trey was on the very first test of dumb SEO questions. It was Trey who did the test of our first setup on that day. Anyway, it's titled Canonical Faux Pas. It's a small e-commerce website where they have approximately 100 category pages and sub-product pages, and canonicals were set pointing correctly to their actual URL. The canonical was the same as the URL. They implemented a new product snippet via JSON LD, and during the implementation of the header tag section of the code of the page, as this would be the location of the product JSON LD code 2, they also unknowingly introduced a new undocumented feature, also known as error or bug, that went unnoticed for 8 to 12 months. This new implementation of product snippets was added and tested, albeit only on the product pages. Fine. The snippet was correct, Google could read it, and the canonical stayed the same. The new feature was that the primary categorical canonical now pointed to the root domain and not to its actual URL. E.g., the canonical pointed to the home page instead of the domain.com/category.html. This is the faux pas. Goodness, try. During those months of the canonical faux pas, the traffic and search engine results pages rankings increased 20 to 40%. I'll miss that line. Yes, many other things were being done too, such as improved content, link structure, 301 redirects of discontinued products, categories, etc., etc. So to pinpoint anything specific would be difficult, to say the least. I've run out of breath, guys. The rest can be read on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. If you've borne with me so far, what do you guys think? Oh, well, while you're thinking about it, I'll read the last. You go ahead.
I'm not entirely sure I followed the whole thing.
Well, I'm thinking that Google, because canonical is only a hint. It's not a directive.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that if all of a sudden all the canonicals on the site pointed to the root directory, I think that they wouldn't do any harm. They'd just be ignored.
See, it's how strong a hint is it? I actually, it's a couple of years ago now, but I basically canonicalized one of my entire sites to something completely different and unrelated through a slip of the keyboard. As far as the hint directive is concerned, yeah, it can be pretty strong hint depending on what you're doing.
Does this all amount to should he fix it or not? Is that what this all comes to? Is that the question?
So.
Okay. I think I would be inclined to fix it. Because I'd rather have things right than wrong, and kind of let Google's whim have sway on this. Supposing Google's whim that seems to be ignore the canonical, it's only a recommendation. At the moment, supposing it changes next week and everything says, oh, content on homepage, in effect. So I think I'd be inclined to fix it.
Fix it, yes, indeed.
According to Adelaide's leading SEO, Tony McCreath, formerly of Dumb SEO Questions, Tony McCreath said the new Google Search Console report should tell you if Google ignored the canonicals. He said, "I'll put a beer on that they did." I bet he won't pay for it. I've been on your table, Tony.
As he's now a Webmaster Central TC, I would say he probably knows what he's talking about.
Okay. Well, look, Trey,
Fix it.
When you're saying how bad was it, I think the consensus here is that. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. But yes, the consensus here is that it wasn't that bad. Fair enough.
But still fix it.
All right. And Suresh Kumar said, I found a few keywords which are inappropriate and irrelevant to the business category. Suresh said, hello, I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you, Suresh. We are doing well and hope you are too. A recent general lookup through Google Search Console of my client's hotel listing, I found a few keywords which are inappropriate and irrelevant to the business category. And unfortunately, they are ranking better than our targeted keywords. Our client's business is a 4-star hotel and the location is Hyderabad, India. And the keywords were prostitute in Hyderabad and brothel in Hyderabad.
Dude, you've been hacked.
I can't share my client's name for now, but the website is ranking somewhere on a third page of Google. I want them off the keywords off the Google listing. How soon can this be done, and what are things I should do to get them off? It's an emergency. Please give me something. Thanks.
Go through your site. You've been hacked. Somebody's got in. Either that, or you've got a competitor comment spamming you with entirely the wrong kind of keywords.
Okay. And okay, so this is a news item. Do we want to comment on this? We've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus, and also the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. Just recently, Google was fined, of course, they will be appealing, a $2.1 billion fine. It's hard to get your head around that, 2.1 billion.
Well, Samsung had to pay 5.
All right. Tim Kappa needs to go, so I guess this is probably a good time to close up. I see we still have eyeballs watching us, and we thank you for that. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile, and we are very appreciative. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But for now, it's good night. And just before we go, if you go to any page on dumbseoquestions.com, at the bottom of the page, you will find a link to join the Hangout. We'll be going off the air in a few seconds, but you're more than welcome to join us and have a chat if you like. All right, we'll see you next week.